Hello, beautiful wild woman. Welcome back to this beautiful audio space here. In this Wild Woman podcast here, we are always traveling in this gorgeous energy that is in pursuit of your depth, truth, and inner wisdom. And today, beautiful wild woman, I have a treat for you. So anxiety. Unfortunately, this word is such a massive word in so many people's lives, and definitely has been a massive word in my life. And for years, I went to this journey that I completely kind of avoided talking about anxiety, only as much as mentioned it when I really needed to, it as it is been part of my journey. But main reason why I've been avoiding mention the word anxiety is because I believe that the words carry massive energy. They are like a spell casted every time we speak about it. So I went on to this massive journey when I stopped speaking about anxiety to kind of stop manifesting into my life, and I became very much more honest and descriptive about my feelings and what is actually going on, besides just calling it all an anxiety. And now lately, it's just particularly since starting this podcast, I have been again thinking a lot about anxiety, and I've been using that word more freely because, let's be honest, that's the word that everyone kind of relates to. That's the word that everyone is describing, or like a lot of people are describing to you, to kind of tell the story or understand what's going on with them. It is a very much a dominant word in our society these days, and it has been for a while. So it deserves also its space, especially in spaces that can offer any type of relief for it. And so, yeah, let's say the word what it is, anxiety here, because so the people who want to learn more about it, understand it better, can actually find it as well and relate to all of this, what is about to unfold here today. So I want to give you some of the best tips I have about healing anxiety. So here we are speaking about actually the state of mind anxiety, not so much just like an emotional feeling of anxiety. I think sometimes it gets mixed up as well when people are describing, for example, let's say they get a new job and they're a bit nervous to go for their interview, or they're a bit nervous for their first day, and yeah, people tend to call all of this anxiety as well, or saying like, I don't know, my kids are about to go back to school, it's giving me anxiety. But I guess like the anxiety, what I'm talking about here is not just the emotion that comes and goes. I'm talking about anxiety as an emotional state of being. Emotional state as in there's a lot of emotions at the same time. Anxiety as something that kind of takes over your body, changes who you are. And it's this anxiety that truly kind of like takes over your body, and something that it starts to shape your life. It's not just a feeling that comes and goes. For example, my anxiety controlled just about anything and everything in my life when I was very much in the thick of it years ago. The main thing, how it controlled me the most, is like the places where I was going, what and when I was eating or not eating, and kind of like, yeah, the choices I made, like where I would sit in a cinema, if I would make in a cinema in the first place, what I would eat there, can I go on a bus, in the public transportation, things like that. It was very much like, it's hard to put in words how everything in my mind was calculated, controlled by the state of my anxiety. And to a degree, I think it's still a little bit happening, but more so not just because I'm crazy anxious, but because a lot of these patterns I'm kind of used to. For example, I, as a very anxious person, I never used to eat in the evenings, and sometimes I still do, but like, again, more so lately I've noticed it doesn't really actually agree with my body. Maybe it's just because for years I haven't had like, big late dinners, and I've been mainly eating in the first half of the day. not sure what is it from, but actually I feel like eating in the morning time mainly really truly agrees with me, and I have a nice early, quite deep sleep if I am just resting my stomach before a few hours before bed. So yeah, like it's hard to say like certain patterns that are kind of left from this crazy time of my life. What are they from? Because certain things are just trained into my mind and they kind of work for me. So I haven't really anymore attributed them as something I do because of anxiety. These are just certain quirks and I guess personality traits almost that I just do and habits that I'm kind of used to. But overall, yes, I guess that's what I wanted to preface it a little bit, that we're talking about anxiety. That is the state of your mind, your body, your emotions. It's kind of like all encompassing this kind of like, it almost feels like emotional prison for a moment when this anxiety comes over you, and it's quite hard to break out of it. And some people live in it like continuously. I know I certainly did. Not so much the anxiety as a feeling that comes and goes, and it's very easily to be distracted. And because that's the difference, dear wild woman, is that our emotions are not meant to be kind of like healed. The old stagnant energy, or for example your old traumas that have caused you a lot of maybe grief, sadness and anxiety back then, yes, the trauma can be healed and the energy of it can be released and transmuted and alchemized. But human emotions, they come and go all the time. If something is stuck in your body from old times, like I said, that's a different story. And yes, that's definitely something that can be healed, and sooner or later it will present itself for you to be healed and released and moved on from. But emotions as such, I feel like sometimes personal development industry, and particularly like coaching industry, like they sometimes leave this very misleading idea that like, oh, you feel angry, okay, like let's deal with your anger. We do one session and like, here's your anger released. But next day something can happen and it can still anger you. Emotions are meant to come and go, keyword go. So they can actually complete themselves and like constantly like circle, and all of them deserve their space, considering the emotion that is called anxiety as well. But okay, so I feel like we possibly now, like you're getting the picture what I mean here. I'm talking about anxiety as a state, like this kind of like this syndrome, this it's hard to describe the feeling, but you'll know. If you know this is for you, then you'll know. So I made, usually I don't take notes for podcasting, but today I actually have a few notes because I've been taking into my phone notes, just a little writing words down and little bit kind of like focusing on my thoughts for a while. Kind of like, what would I say to someone if they would ask like quick tips on how to relieve anxiety? And so today I organized these notes a little bit, and here we go. So the first tip I have for relieving anxiety and starting to move towards healing is meeting your needs. So let me get into it a little bit deeper. Meeting your needs. So that means that it requires from you a certain amount of honesty to first admit to yourself that you have certain needs. And here I am mainly talking about emotional needs. For example, if we're speaking about emotional needs, it can be a bit confusing. Like, what does it mean? Emotional needs are, for example, a need to have companionship, need to have someone to talk to, need to have someone to ask questions, need to get a hug, give a hug, have a place to go every morning. All of these things have a very emotional driving force, and they are fulfilling an emotional need within us. And don't let here some BS notion confuse you, because very often people are confused by the fact that almost like a lot of people speak about like releasing your needs, or rising above your needs, or releasing your attachment to your needs, whatever. Like this is very this conceptual spiritual talk that doesn't have very often any practical value unless it has very good given context to it. Here's my tip to you: is definitely get very clear on your emotional needs, and honestly do your very best to satisfy these needs for yourself. Like when I first started like really asking myself like these questions, like what are my needs, and almost like my moments of anxiousness became the kind of like the signature of I am not meeting my needs. Something has gone amiss. I am falling back to these patterns that I am avoiding myself. I am not listening to myself. I'm not paying attention to my own needs, feelings, all of the rest of it. And when I started to feel anxious, I always stopped and asked myself, what am I not seeing at the moment? What is that I really truly need to pay attention here at the moment? And the answers are sometimes so simple, it's almost comical. I remember this one very particular moment when I asked myself this. Like I remember I came home from somewhere and I was rushing through my house here and quickly getting something else on. Like I took my clothes off and I was putting gym gear on to rush to the gym, and I just felt so anxious all of a sudden. And then I know the old me would have just keep rushing and went to the gym and hope for the best, but then I was really in the middle of changing these thought patterns, behavioral patterns for myself, and I stopped and asked, like, what is here that I can't see? Like what's going on? What is that I need? What am I missing? And I just stopped for a moment, closed my eyes, and the answer that came to me was like, well, you're so hungry. You're so hungry. What are you rushing? Where are you rushing? The gym is not gonna like run away from you. Go for a pee. You just got home. Chill for a moment. Take a deep breath and just eat something. This was the guidance from within, and this was the need I had ignored. Because if you truly have experienced anxiety, it can block everything from you. It can block like your hunger, it can block your pain, it can block anything from you. And it's almost like our role in the healing of anxiety is to start seeing through it again, and creating ourselves these little windows of light where we start to create relationship with us again. So think of your healing through anxiety almost as creating a beautiful relationship with yourself again, and maybe for the first time ever, actually. And we gotta be very gentle here with ourselves, knowing that it's not going to be perfect since day one. It can take a while to kind of understand, remember, starting to understand your anxiety more, starting to understand all aspects of you, your emotions, your emotional needs, and yeah, give yourself a lot of grace and kindness here. But trust me, as you start doing these little things, it takes the edge off pretty soon. So yeah, giving my best tips here that help me, hopefully they'll help you. So the first one, meeting your emotional needs. Number 2, resting. So this is something, again, like extremely simple, but I feel like this is something we all need to become very good students of. We need to understand what kind of rest our body or our mind, our emotional body, what kind of rest do we need? Because there are many different kinds of rest. You know, there's active, creative, physically active, something that is in a different location than you usually are, actual sleep, rest for your mind, rest for your spirit, rest for your soul. So many different aspects to what offers us a restful moment. And again, you got to understand what are your needs here. But it's very important in general to learn how to slow down, because if we are addicted to this busyness and we are addicted to keeping our mind extremely busy and ourselves always on the go, that's a perfect spot for anxiety to kind of move in and take over without us even actually gatekeeping our mind and our body and our energy at all, and letting kind of like this tenant to slip in, move in and stay living in our space if we are not almost like keeping this energetic hygiene and resting and knowing when our body needs rest. That can be a huge journey, which I feel I'm definitely still learning. What does it mean for me to truly rest and allowing myself rest? Because most people, if you tell them the word rest, they meet this with the word guilt. They feel so guilty for just sitting there butt down for a bit and allowing themselves to just read or just do nothing, sit in a candlelight and just listen to music or watch a movie, or go out with friends and have a cup of tea or a cocktail, whatever is your thing. We're meant to slow down and truly enjoy this slow down time like our life depends on it, because it does. So knowing your needs for resting and training your mind to slow down and like enter these restful moments, extremely important for healing your anxiety. Number 3 is the biggest, the most profound, the most greatest mountain you ever climb, is understanding your feelings, getting honest with your feelings, admitting yourself, how are you feeling, being able to kind of describe your feelings and tapping into the emotional state of your body and allowing them actually come to the surface. Anxiety, in my opinion, is sometimes, it's like a cocktail of emotions. Imagine like life in general is pretty triggering on an emotional level for most people. Imagine like an average day of a woman. Average woman has kids, she has a job, she needs to drop her kids off, she needs to take herself somewhere, she has a lot of cooking to do, cleaning to do, laundry to do, she has a household to take care of, she has usually a partner, sometimes there's things there that needs to be constantly worked through, and there are a lot of things that this woman needs to hold, and every single little detail, usually it's normal, creates like some sort of emotion within us. Imagine like a busy morning, you're rushing around, getting ready. You even the rushing itself can cause a lot of like energetic charge in your body, trying to convince your kids for them to get dressed, trying to like organize everything for yourself, for your husband, for I don't know, for your dogs. Every little thing there, like someone spills something, someone realizes I haven't done the laundry, I haven't done my homework yet. Has someone picked the laundry from last night? No, nothing's been done. Okay, something's missing. Gotta quickly go get some fuel for the car. Whatever these things are, all of these little things constantly cause us to react emotionally. And if we are not in tune with it, it doesn't mean like you always have to like break down on your knees and really truly live through every experience and every little thing needs to trigger you. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm trying to paint a picture here is like life is constantly triggering, and we're meant to be emotional beings, and knowing how to deal with these emotions and understanding like what are reactions and what is the dominant emotion always just bubbling there under the surface that will come out every single time we're slightly triggered. But the thing is, anxiety very often can again confuse the picture for us a lot, and very often people who are very, very anxious, they might not have a big repertoire of other emotions beside they're either feeling okay or they're very anxious, or sometimes they feel just plain frustrated and pissed off as well. Like, for example, for me, when I started to like heal my anxiety, all of a sudden this whole rainbow of emotions opened up, because every emotional feeling didn't instantly jump to this like anxiety. All of a sudden I was able to stay somewhere in the middle, which can be like, I can feel confused, I can feel like excited, I can feel like surprised, I can feel like I'm thoughtful, I can feel I am like almost like waiting for something to kind of pop up. I was able to hold like this tension between me and some other things, and I didn't have to feel this void, this tension with constant anxiety. And it was such an interesting feeling, because all of a sudden, like, I started to speak to my friends and describe how I'm feeling, and everyone was kind of blown away, because it was such a new thing for them to hear me speak about my feelings, because so far it was all about what I was thinking. It was all about the mind. It was all like me remembering a lot of things in the mind, rather than like what was my feeling with it. And even though very often I did describe my feelings, and a lot of people called me like, "Oh, you're so emotional," but still, like, I feel like I was blocked away from actually feeling them truly. It was almost like I knew what the feeling was, but I didn't have the full bodily experience of it. And a lot of obviously old stuff was still living in my body, old energy that I wasn't ever actually letting come to the surface that I would fully cry about. For example, I used to be in a very traumatic and dramatic relationship with the person who used to go to like military operations, and he was away sometimes 6 months, 7 months at the time. And obviously I was like a complete anxious mess during these times. There was one summer I remember when I wasn't able to eat anything, just because I was waiting for this person to contact me, because being in a war is a crazy thing, right? The people at home, all they have is the mainstream news to watch, and wait for the news, and hope for the best, pretty much. But the people in the war zone, they can't really contact you, and even if they can, you're just terrified to getting this call, because you don't know what's the news going to be. So it was very, very intense time for me at the very, very early age, and I had no way of actually knowing how to hold this kind of emotional challenge, emotional tension, and it blocked me away from all of my needs. It blocked me away of all of my honesty, all of my feelings, and I was just kind of waiting in this anxiousness, and I don't think it ever went away, and this relationship went very, very complicated. This person, his life was very, very complicated after returning from the war, and I just remember that I wasn't able to actually connect to these feelings, and I was doing everything but my mind kind of came up with to the best of my abilities. But emotionally, myself, I was completely disconnected. I didn't cry. I wasn't like sad. I didn't have like these episodes of anything. I was just tense and wired and very, very, very tired. So that's another reason why we need to learn how to rest, because an anxious person is very wired and very blocked away from his or her needs. So it keeps like going in this very exhausting cycle, and almost like we don't even feel when we are tired, when we need to sleep. And sometimes trying to sleep can be also like quite scary experience, because we just lay awake at night and no one wants that. So just a little bits at the time, just a little steps at the time, can make a huge difference for you. And like planting little seeds along the way, trying to kind of offer yourself a little rest until your body starts to trust it, and finding these little pockets where you get to be more honest with your feelings, where you get to like talk about your feelings. And obviously here's where like coaching and any therapy, anything like this is very, very valuable, where you get to start to build a relationship with yourself and your feelings. Because I'm thinking, and what kind of I see now is that very often people who truly struggle to feel their feelings, they come from a background where their feelings weren't valued at all. So, or they grew up watching other people having a very poor relationship with their feelings, not knowing how to process them, not really showing them in a safe way. For example, a lot of people like truly suppress their anger and sadness and frustration, because it comes out as very explosive rage, and or that's what they've seen. And then they've told themselves that the last thing I want ever do is other people see me like raging like I used to watch my dad or my mom or my uncle or my granddad, whoever they saw raging, and it scared them. So they're completely blocked out from their own rage, which can bubble there, create a lot of tension and intensity in the body that can contribute a lot for this cocktail of emotions that then we call anxiety. So as you start to heal your anxiety, this whole cocktail and rainbow of feelings can come to the surface, but under guidance, you're able to do it in a safe way. You're able to do it in a way that it maybe makes more sense to you. I feel like all my therapists, my mentors, my coaches, people that have been helping me on my journey, they've had a very important role helping my mind understand what's going on, because by the end of the day, what's happening on the energetic level, what's happening on the emotional level, we are always limited to what our mind understands about it. And it's important to kind of have more knowledge, more understanding, deeper understanding, more words to describe it. This external input can be very important for that. So you can have the courage, so you can have the safety to keep progressing in your journey. And it's invaluable the other people's support there. And I truly encourage reaching out either to me or to someone else who can be your safe person to speak about your emotions. And their role is never to take them away or pacify always your feelings, but help you understand them, help you move through them. Maybe then because you feel more safer with them, it helps for you to also dissolve them much quicker, complete them, move on, shift energies, and start to bring something much more beautiful and lighter through your next chapters, through your life now, rather than the feelings about the things that have happened in the past but you haven't been able to process. Tip number four is understanding your mind. So this is very important as well, because emotions can be very intense. We have not modeled really truly what is great emotional intelligence, what our emotions are like. We haven't really shown how to safely feel our feelings. So this is a learning process, and part of this supporting role to these emotional processes, a very massive supporting role is in the hands of your mind. So your mind, your brain, your hardwire, but also mind, your thoughts, your mindset. And like I just mentioned, it's important for you to understand this on a mind level as well, because most people who have anxiety, I would say this is a generalization here, that most people who suffer from anxiety are become very mind-based and busy in their minds. So it's important that you start to understand how your mind works and what it can base on. Your mind can only base on things that it has learned already through your experience or by someone else's teachings, but it doesn't have a lot of evidence or a lot of room to play in the area of trust. It doesn't maybe trust and understand emotions. It doesn't understand all of the energy that moves through your body. So you gotta understand on the mind level, how does your mind contribute to anxiety, so you can start to work towards how it can help you contribute towards healing. Gatekeeping your mind is very important here. Like I teach that to my clients all the time, understanding what are the thoughts in your mind and knowing that you can be the gatekeeper of these thoughts. That what are these thoughts that are coming in, noticing as they come in the real time, and also making a choice in that moment that you don't have to actually dwell on them. You don't have to actually allow them in and think on them even for a minute. We do not have to do that. And we need to understand that our mind is constantly narrating to us everything it sees in the outside world. Imagine you walk on the street, you see dog walking by, woman walking by, family walking by. You walk past someone's household, you watch the household, you watch cars going by, you watch like an old broken down car parked on the street. Every single detail you see, your mind is telling you a story about the dog, the woman, the family, the house, the cars, the broken down car. You have an opinion instantly about all these things. What are these opinions based on, though? Are they always based on trust, kindness, safety, love, unity, oneness, emotional intelligence? Most likely they are just random thoughts that come and go, but also they create energy along the way all the time. They create certain separation between you and the world. They create these opinions that most likely are telling you I like or I don't like, yes, no, black, white. They constantly choose sides, and that's not necessarily maybe what actually on a true soul level agrees with your body. And that's why it's important to understand your mind, that we don't have to actually buy into the mind's thoughts all the time or at that level or that intensity. So we actually get to develop our mind to be more selective. We get to develop our mind to be kinder. We get to develop our mind to so we can use our minds in a very positive way rather than let it be something that constantly weighs the system down, if you know what I mean. Imagine old these Windows 95 computers that you do one wrong click and these windows, some sort of pop-up windows keep opening up and there's hundreds of them. That's, I feel what our mind does, these new windows popping up everywhere, and we can't keep up closing them all down or deciding whether we want to close them down or what we should do with these windows. They are just popping up all the time. Every single one of those windows wants something from us, tells a story, wants something, a reaction from us, and takes energy and weighs the system down. That's what our mind does all the time. So we need to learn how to understand our mind. We need to understand how to listen to it, how not to listen to it, and how to kind of be in charge a little bit more, because most of us, again, are in a world programming. The software, the apps, so to speak, that we run on are very much outdated again. Definitely encouraged to reach out a mindset coach, a healer, to speak about these things. Tip number 5 is is very, very simple, and like I aim to tie a beautiful bow on to everything we have spoken here, and this is claiming yourself to be a student, claiming yourself a student of being you. Think of it this way, that like everything that is happening to you is happening for you for a reason. Even sometimes the craziest, most intense, dark moments can actually offer you a beautiful teaching, can offer you a beautiful spot to spring back from and learn something and decide something for yourself. Have a moment of honesty, a moment of truth with yourself, moment of strength with yourself. Claim all of this, that your journey, even with anxiety, your emotions, your mindset, that this is you learning to be you. You're not becoming like this, whatever image you might have about someone else, you're becoming more like you. Maybe if you haven't learned faith and trust, you can tell yourself, I am learning. I haven't been modeled how to be angry safely. I am learning. Maybe you haven't been taught how to speak about your feelings. I am learning to do that. Maybe you haven't been taught how to trust your partner. I am learning to do that. Maybe you haven't been taught how to take care of your emotional needs, how to rest, how to kind of feel your feelings, how to just open up to your friend, how to have a little cry. This is something that you can be learning, instead of deciding then and there, like our minds want to do, that, I never done that, I don't know how to do that, that's not for me, and be done with it. No, claim that you are student of yourself. You are the student of becoming more like yourself every day. It's not going to be a perfect journey, but it's going to be the most important, most powerful, most rewarding thing you have ever done for yourself, is claiming you, being the student for you, for that blueprint who you're meant to be here, and becoming like you with every moment of honesty, bit by bit. And even for the last little thing, what I want to mention is meditations. Like any type of meditating is an incredible way how to practice all of the above. Giving yourself like these meditative moments, or joining like groups, or I don't know, like I hold, for example, circles where I offer this space for women to just kind of tune in with themselves for a bit, listening to meditation podcast or meditation like recordings, or just giving yourself a moment of few deep breath. If you've been my client, you know I teach this practice to nearly every single one of my clients, that you need to be able to remember to just sometimes sit and breathe. I teach this thing called state change, where you get to come back to yourself and choose a state rather than stay in a state that you've been kind of been in it like by default without no actual choice made. And very often the default state is a bit tense and anxious and distracted. But how to come back to you and just connecting with your breath for a moment, and just any kind of meditation that you can do can help you with all of the above. It can give you rest, can give you self-honesty, can help you understand your mind, can help you quiet this narration in your mind all the time, can offer you this moment of meeting your emotional needs. All of it can come from a meditation. And don't get me wrong, like this doesn't have to be this forceful practice that you do as every single day at the same time, unless you're a very structured person and this what really agrees with you. Go for it. Don't force it, but just remember this as a very powerful tool to come back to yourself and help you so much on your healing and on you moving towards you and you learning to be more like you. So this beautiful wild woman, is what I wanted to tell you today about my best tips when it comes to healing anxiety. And my messages are obviously open. Please be in touch if you would like to speak about yours a little bit more, if you want some questions answered, if you're ready to start your healing journey. I am here for you as well, or any other person that you feel like can help you. Do not hesitate reaching out, and let all these little puzzles of the pieces of the puzzle start to fall in place for you. Take care of yourself, truly take care, and this journey, you starting to know yourself more, trusting yourself more, having more faith in life in general, more love for yourself. This will be such a beautiful thing, and one day you look back and realize it's been definitely a mountain to climb, but from that view up there, things look so much different, although you're looking still the same details of your life, but it just starts to look very much different because how much this journey has strengthened you as a person. Thank you so much, beautiful wild woman. Looking forward to talking to you again very soon. Wishing you a beautiful rest of the week, and much love. Chat soon.